Hey guys, Th3 here and welcome back to more Wargame Red Dragon. Today 1v1 ranked against Chopser. Now, in this match I am struggling. I'm making a ton of mistakes and I have had my gameplay reviewed by some of the experts at the Wargame Bootcamp Discord. Linked down below to that in the description. What I'm trying to do here is use an Eastern Bloc mechanized to quickly capture a town between Center and Dimitri. And the right flank is going to be defended by a small scattering of forces while my main push moves through Gregory and either towards Dimitri or towards the other side, depending on where I go. Chopser, however, opens with a Tornado F3, and here is basically where I have my first mistake. Because on this map it is very common that the enemy starts with an aerial rush, or at least some form of helicopter drop, and that's exactly what Chopser is doing. I try to offload my LSTR, but the main danger is I didn't see this coming. I did not see the helicopters at all. So, in a sort of panic buy, I buy the MiG-23 ML, which promptly get not only detected, but shot down by the Tornado F3. But because I didn't have any kind of ASF or Helo Hunter, I simply didn't see this coming. And while my LSTR are able to deal with a decent amount of their helicopters, it is simply not enough. So I think, okay, I'm going to try and move a little more forward into Ivan and just have some units over there. Well, the main push, there it is, arrives from Gregory. At this point, though, I already have a problem because not only are my LSTR no longer defended, they are completely defenseless. They have nowhere to go, my MiG-24s have been shot down, and I am down quite a few points. So, let's see what else I have. Well, some anti-air. And this, big mistake. Over-aggressive. I tried to push there, because I thought, hold on, if he has this much invested in Dimitri, maybe he doesn't have anything there. But of course he does. I need to manage my aggression better. What I also did not have in my main column was anti-air. The BMP-2s, while they are somewhat resistant to rocket pods, and some of the Vidras have anti-air, well, autocannons that is, they simply weren't up to the job. This was definitely not going to go well. And instead of trying to get my units to fall back into a position where I can defend, I tried to sort of have them advance. The whole column gets butchered. This is just such a mistake. And there goes the other flank, leaving my Ivan position completely exposed, and thus forcing me to spend points there, which I effectively do not have available. With the destruction of my transports, or at least most of my transports, the infantry that I had there in the main column has been destroyed. So not only am I down units on the right flank, I'm also down units on the left flank, and I'm down a lot of units. So, whereas I should have had a Helo Hunter, I also should have had anti-air. And because I had neither, the Helos just went with a perfect attack on my transports, on my LSTR, well, basically on everything that I had. And, well, there we go. I am pretty far behind. So, what next? Well, that was kind of my struggle. What do I do next? I try and secure center a little better and start to buy a couple of units to fill up some gaps, at least secure some towns, and also get my reinforcements for Ivan into position. The right flank also had an ATGM, which I pushed up, so I'm, there we go, buying new Conquerors. BMP-2s into position there to try and drop off the infantry. And one thing I constantly do is overextend. I'm really struggling to manage my aggression, whereas I'm thinking, okay, if he has this much here, I can probably go on the offensive there. Yeah, no, not really. I simply don't have the numbers, I don't have the anti-air, I don't have the right unit composition, so I'm trying to be too aggressive in a position where I can't. Had I waited with my main column for the anti-air that I called in, you can see the 10Ms currently in position to try and move up, I would have been in a far better position because my whole main column would have survived and I probably would have been able to push into the town that you can see on the right hand side of the screen. The one that I'm trying to push my Motorschützen into. But as I'm trying to push my Motorschützen in there, I'm making another mistake. I'm trying to push without fire support in a position.
So the SAS and the Milan 2 are having a pretty easy time trying to counter my infantry. On the right-hand flank, the left-hand flank, I'm trying to get the Special Aufklärer to move forward, right into the welcoming arms of another group of infantry. My fire support, well, if you want to call it that, the OT-62A, I'm trying to push it forward, but it simply doesn't work. Because there's an HGM in position in Dimitri. So, basically everything that I could go wrong, or that I could have done wrong, went wrong. Another mistake that you can see me do is I'm buying a CV. I barely have control over this sector, but I will be buying a command unit. There it is, the Topaz R2M. It is way too early to call a command in. But I thought, okay, maybe I can get away with this, because I want to start putting some pressure on him in the form of getting a point tick. Yeah, well, not so much. That did not work. And you're about to see why. Because I have no control of the forest. So the Topaz is currently sort of leading the push, if you will, which is terrible. It's getting detected. I'm trying to get T-72s to be in a fire support position, but they're supporting nothing at the moment because my infantry is non-existent. So another mistake. I'm trying to get units... Well, no, I'm not trying to get units. I'm trying to form the usual infantry plus fire support combo, but I completely mess it up. Because I keep calling in tanks, and there's Royal Marines in that force, which have just killed off my command vehicle. So I bought a CV way too early. I should have secured the sector first. On top of that, Chopsers start calling in more and more units from the skies. Not so much helos this time, but he has definitely full control of the skies, and my Strelas are simply not up to the task of trying to defend my units. So, the F-111C that you saw before is capable of just nuking anything and everything. And there we go, I do it again. I try and push in. I try and use my non-existent units and their absolutely non-existent fire support to try and push into the position. Because I'm getting desperate. And that's just silly. The game has 32.5 minutes left. There is no rush. There is no reason for me to rush this much. Chopser isn't buying CVs yet, or if he is, they're not in a position yet. My recon on the left is non-existent, so my T-72s are getting spotted, but I cannot see by what. And on top of that, I'm getting hit by ATGMs coming in from the town / the position on the right. So I have absolutely no right to be pushing up, or trying to get my units out. That was another kill on my anti-air unit, so the left flank is now even more defenseless when it comes to dealing with aerial threats. And of course, Chopser is going to exploit that, because as opposed to myself, he is a competent player, and I'm just being a dipshit at the moment. It's really a... well, it's not even Murphy's Law, because Murphy's Law is usually what can go wrong will go wrong. In my case, it's just what I could have done wrong, I did wrong. And of course there will be games like that. And of course I shouldn't be too hard on myself, but I was just going, what are you doing? Here, for example, I have a couple of Rover Wombats. These are very, very cheap units that he's just pushing across the bridge, and I have nothing to defend it. I have absolutely no information. The Motorschützen, there were 20, there's now just the one. They got hit by another F-111C that I could not stop. So I'm thinking, okay, should I push the T-72s? Well, maybe, but you don't have any recon. So, where are you going with those, idiot? It doesn't work. Don't push the T-72s forward, because their optics aren't up to the job. Thankfully, I did have some units over here on the right-hand side. So at least I saw the Wombats coming, and I'm able to call in some units with the few points that I have available. If he'd pushed some sort of HGM helo over on the left flank here, those T-72s would be dead. He doesn't, but it could have very easily been another 80 points that I simply lost. And there we go, there's the Rover Wombats. The T-72, as well as the Vidra, are able to sustain the position and stop that push. T-72 versus a C2 Maxis is not a good matchup for a T-72. And, well, once again, I lose my units. So, time to call in an HGM. I already had a recon on the way, so I decided not to call in another one. CF-18 Hornet just drops a couple of cluster bombs on top of the T-72 and it's gone. At this point still, the situation isn't terribly desperate. It's just that in my head it is. Because I'm thinking, oh god, I've lost so many units, I have barely control over this left flank. There's holes in my lines everywhere. I need to do something. Yes, I need to calm down. I need to slow down. Just take a breath. Don't rush into positions that you simply cannot take. And that's something that I really have to work on. Unfortunately, the next game that I played, I did it the other way around. I kind of had this game in the back of my head and I thought, okay, well, this time around I am not going to push. I'm not going to be too aggressive. And because of that, I lost that game as well. So, it's the whole thing where, on average, I'm probably being aggressive enough, because this game I'm being very aggressive when I can't afford to be. And the next game I'm being not aggressive enough when I could have been. So, it's definitely a learning point for me. And as some of the guys from the Discord said, the Wargame Bootcamp Discord, they said, turtle up and wait to advance until you're ready. I wasn't ready, as you can quite clearly see. I'm pushing desperately units forward to try and control center, because I'm thinking that probably fairly soon there is going to be a CV that drives into Anna, and that drives into another sector, and then he has a +4. And because of that, I need to do something. I need to try and get either more control or buy more CVs, and I'm not sure how to do it. So once again, I'm hesitant to call the units forward, but this time around I go, no, you know what? No, not yet. Not yet. Still, if I'm not doing that, then what am I doing? Well, try being patient. Another thing that I've gotten as feedback from the Discord, and I was really, I really needed to hear this, it is okay to let the other player tick up 100 to 200 points. It's a 40-minute game, so long as you're able to stop that tick, to make sure that the enemy player doesn't keep ticking this thing forever, it's actually survivable. If you're able to push back. If you're trying to push back too early, then you're going to be in trouble, like I am now. Because instead of having a coordinated, combined arms offensive, I am just trying to push everything forward, sort of solo. And I'm getting very much nothing for it. Once again, I try to push the Motorschützen forward. Right into the receiving arms of the SAS. Neva is able to try and get a shot at the F-111, misses once, misses twice, and the Hornet drops on, I think this... No, I didn't call in the CV yet. There, the Neva missed everything. Oh, I think they called... Yeah, they took out the HEGM that was on the left side of center. So again, I call in a command vehicle, and again, it's the wrong unit. Because again, I have no control over the sector. But Chopser does, and Chopser is at a +2. Now, considering that my left flank is something that I was focusing on, and the right flank was not, I decided to instead not call in CV on the right-hand side. I decided that this side was probably going to be more heavily micromanaged, and though it was definitely at risk, I decided that this was the side I wanted the CV on, because my attention was not on the other flank. So, once again, I try to make a haphazard dash, without a clear objective, I might add. Because, sure, I'm moving forward, but why? There is no reason for it. None. I should just sit on my ass and wait. And make, for example, center the push towards Anna. That should be the offensive that I'm trying to go for, not the one into Dimitri. Dimitri currently has no strategic value for Chopser. Maybe later, if he's needing a +1, if I'm able to counter and hold center and he's able to hold Anna, I'm able to hold Ivan on the far right and he's able to hold the other one. But at this point, it's just no point.
and I'm losing units by the minute. Sure, I'm trying to get units in. The M35 is able to take out a unit and then promptly dies to the tornado because he still has air control. The Neva is out of missiles and completely unsupplied, so I decide to just give up. Now let's have a perspective change to neutral to see what Chopser had, what he was doing and where he was going. We got this big wave of helos that I could have easily spotted if I had a helo hunter. That is a usually 100-120 point ASF that's capable of spotting units and potentially doing a lot of damage against helos. Not a great air-to-air fighter in the sense that it probably would lose against another ASF, but beyond that it is fine. Note the composition here. We've got the AH-7's 20 mils, as well as a Gazelle for recon, AH-7s with rocket pods, and effectively 4 infantry units, 2 ATGMs and 2 SAS, and that's it. He had 4 infantry units versus my, well, fairly sizable column here. This is 2, 4, 6, 8, and then some other units. That's, let's say 8 effective infantry units. But because I had 0 anti-air, this happened. So he pushes forward. And over here he has the little defensive line, which is 2 Eric's units, a Wolverine and a Coyote. That's it. So his investment here is 45. That's 80 points. Let's say 120 tops. But it is capable of defeating my push over there. So he drops off. My M24s are immediately getting intercepted by the LSTR. Oh, sorry, by the AH-7s. And while I'm able to take down all of them, now the now the LSTR are out of Iglas. And because of that, they're extremely vulnerable, while the Tornado F3 takes the kills on the helos. I think you can still see one of them going down somewhere, but at any rate, the helos are dead. There come the AH-7s, and now my LSTR are dead. Had I spotted this offensive, I could have decided to deploy my LSTR there. That would have been a far safer position, or maybe here and here. That way, I would have at least had some anti-air into position as well. But I was overly aggressive, and I thought, okay, shit, I have to drop off now. Quick, drop off, make the move later. And that's when the AH-7s and the 20 mils just took me out. And what he effectively has on the front line? Milan 2, SAS, SAS, Milan. That's it. That is all. That's what I was so afraid of. It makes no sense. My Mi-2, which I'm trying to dash forward, just doesn't generally do anything. Oh, and noteworthy, he didn't start with another command vehicle. I did. I brought my command into Gulf. So temporarily I'm taking a +1, but it doesn't really get me anything beyond the ability to call in units here. Here is where I make the big mistake. I'm trying to push forward my BMP column without waiting for the 10Ms. Alternatively, the Tunguska, which I also have in this deck, would have been very, very useful. So here is the absolute slaughter of the AH-7s, and in the meanwhile I'm trying to push my column here, without dropping them off, I might add, into the Erics. Their Bison fire support, the Wolverine and the Coyote. And it goes just about as well as you can expect. I got 2 survivors and I kill 1 Eric's operator. That's all. Now all my units are getting suppressed. The Milan has fired so many missiles that it actually ran out. And Chopser is just sitting here with 1 SAS and an empty Milan, a full Milan there and an SAS there. That's all. The Tornado is circling. Had I, for example, decided to just reinforce this town, probably would have worked. Had I pushed my column not so much down the road, but potentially here, and hidden them in the forests, I could have then, later on, when the anti-air was in position, moved up. But this did not work. Or rather, it would have worked, but I didn't play it as such.
The move with the special Aufklärer wasn't stellar either, simply because I probably would never have been able to hold against the Royal Marines. And let's say I provide recon here, it doesn't really get me anything. Maybe a better place for the recon would have been there, so to see what is coming down this road, but that would have been it. That would have been the extent of it. And the Royal Marines pushed through without losing a single man, I might add. And that's when the Topaz and the T-72s come in, because I thought, oh, T-72s, good against Royal Marines at range. Sure, they are, if you can keep at range, but not when the Royal Marines have the forests, and I have nothing. Still, the position here just has absolutely nothing. The Milan and the SAS, that's it. And over here, he has reinforced some stuff, but really not that much. Coyote and the Dishka are fighting it out, and surprisingly the Dishka wins. Considering it's a pretty shitty unit. He's bringing in the Stormer here. And over here comes the Wombat column. That's the column that drives down the bridge right there, past the Dishka, and right into the units over there. And you also start to see the F-111C. That is being very nasty to my infantry. And because I have no anti-air, he's just free to do it. Here comes the Mexes. He's buying a unit for the forest to make sure that he covers that. Well, Wombats are, without a worry in the world, moving down that road. And because I wasn't paying enough attention to the minimap, I simply didn't see them. Fortunately, the PT-76 is able to take 2 of them out. That at least halves their firepower. But of course, there are still 2 of them left. And while they are shaken, they are very capable of dealing with my unit. And you just constantly see me doing these half-assed dashes. I mean, what was this? Just look at how close I am to the Coyote. I still don't see it. Because the Coyote has medium stealth, and this thing is blind as a bat with poor optics. It's just stupid. Never again. Oh, and my defensive units. Zalozhniki with OT-810s, and I have those defending my command vehicle all over. This is because recently I have been attacked quite a bit at my spawn, and I never wanted that to happen again, so I decide that I defend with basically everything I have. He still has only captured this sector, nothing else yet. It's Echo and Bravo, that's all, and he's just reinforcing his position. Because he knows that once he has a good line, then he can start buying CVs, or at least that's what I think he's thinking. So instead of moving in a coordinated manner, I try to get my units forward fast, and I've just run into so much resistance that my kill-death ratio is terrible. Oh, here comes the Rover CP, probably going to Fox. And mine, once again, is going to be going to here, but I got Royal Marines there. Pioneers here, Coyote. Effectively, there isn't too much there, but the unit composition is so effective. Well, lacking anti-air, that is, but this thing could, in a pinch, be used as an anti-air unit. It's so effective that I simply don't really have that much that can deal with it. Especially the Mex is what is annoying. 85-point tank, 14 frontal armor, 17 AP, accurate shooter, and medium optics. So, to some extent, it's capable of spotting for itself. And he's just slowly but steadily reinforcing the positions that he has. You can see that the Storm has been brought in position, Gazelle for recon, and there is another spotter team coming out here in the Saxon. And while I try and hit the position with the Prams, the SAS don't take a hit. The Green Jackets do. Oh, sorry, the SAS did take a hit now. The Milan dies, but my Spirit died before that. My level of clear thinking just went right out the window. And you can see that he's pushing me back further and further and further. The Royal Marines die, the Coyote is able to get killed by the Mi-35, and effectively he has nothing in my sector. 9 Pioneers, 2 Chieftains, Mark IIs, 35-point tanks, that's it. That's it. But I lost the battle in my head, and because of that, I just surrender. Leading me to a pretty shitty result. There. 1,480 points for Chopser killed, 830 points lost.
I was able to kill some of his forces, not enough, but I already lost the battle in my head, and that is one of the biggest struggle. Many thanks to True Orb, Feanor, Greyhound, Maréchal Boulanger, and Kundra for providing feedback on this. I will try to take all points to heart and do better next time. Hope you guys enjoyed, if that's the right term, maybe taken lessons from my mistakes. And I hope that I'm able to prevent you from making the same mistakes through this video. Let me know what your thoughts are down below, and I'll see you soon for more.